This week's edition of NJBIA's Minding Your Business is brought to you in part by AT&T, helping family, friends, and neighbors connect in meaningful ways every day. From the first phone call 140 years ago to mobile video streaming today, AT&T innovates to improve lives. New Jersey's community colleges aligning education to build an innovative workforce. Find out how your business can join and benefit at njpathways.org. And by New Jersey Business Magazine, providing the critical information needs for New Jersey's business community for more than 65 years.
Welcome to NJBIA's Mind Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, as you may know, NJBIA is in the midst of its Year of the Business Owner campaign, and as part of that initiative, NJBIA President and CEO Michele Siekerka is meeting small business owners throughout the state to get their personal stories of how they meet their challenges on the pathway to success. Today, she visits Celest Quintana, the hardworking and influential owner and operator of multiple McDonald's restaurants in northern New Jersey. So join us as we go to the Golden Arches in Jersey City for that very interesting conversation.
Celeste, it is such a pleasure to join you here in Jersey City at your McDonald's restaurant. One of how many stores?
One of 10, and thank you so much. It's our pleasure, my pleasure to host you. Thank you so much for being here.
Wonderful. So this is part of our campaign this year to tell the story of what it means to be a business owner in the state of New Jersey. And there's a perception, when you say McDonald's, people think, big corporation. Here you are, entrepreneur. Can you please help to dispel the perception of what it means to be an entrepreneur owning a McDonald's?
Well, being an entrepreneur is that you are totally responsible for everything. McDonald's is a large company, a multi-million-dollar company, but we are a small business owner. We are responsible for everything that happens in this restaurant, from our people to our product. Yes, we follow what McDonald's leads us into following, but we are just totally responsible for ourselves. So we are it.
As a small business owner, you hear me talk all the time about boots on the ground. So you're it. You're in your community. You've got your boots on the ground. When you put your boots on the ground each and every day, what's the first thing that's on your mind about your business?
When the boots go on the ground every day, I just pray that it's a good day, and I pray for our people, and thankful that we have amazing people that come to work each and every day. Every day is totally a different day. Boots on the ground means that you have to be prepared, but also be ready to pivot and within a minute's notice, because the day is not a script and it doesn't always flow the way that you want it to flow.
Oh, I know that. I wake up, I have 2 or 3 things I want to accomplish, and then here I am 3/4 of the way through the day and I didn't even get to point 1, right? But the whole idea that no day is even the same. Give me an example of what was maybe one of your most challenging days as a small business owner, and what was it that made it so challenging?
If I could just think back, March 16th of 2020. COVID. And when I heard the country was shutting down, and the pain in my heart for my people, for my business, for my family. And I called my daughter and I said, Jessica, just be ready, because I think we're going to be done. That was the most painful day that I could remember in business.
Yeah, sure.
It was that day, that notification, watching the news. I don't think that there's anything other than my heart was so broken and so uncertain as to what was ahead of us.
Absolutely.
We didn't know.
Speaking about money and what we do with it, another perception. People think, business owners, they make money. They go and they spend it on themselves. They buy these expensive cars and yachts, etc., right? I hear every day how business owners put that dollar right back in their business, whether it's their people to create a new job, a benefit, technology to make their workforce, their life easier. Tell me a little bit about how when you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to have that extra dollar, where's your head going and what you're doing with that extra dollar?
That extra dollar, I always think of reinvesting it back into our community, investing it back within our workforce, educating our workforce. So we have programs where we send them to college, we pay for their tuition, we train them, and they
Wonderful.
and that's how we spend the dollar that we have. In this business, we work on a very slim margin. We work on a penny profit margin. People think that McDonald's, we work on a tremendous margin. We do not. We work on a penny profit. We always call it a penny profit. And when we do make those pennies, and what's more important is that it goes back into our community with social programs, with education, where we do, we feed the homeless, where we give turkeys away for Christmas. It's an endless list of things that we do with our money. And then if there's a little bit left over, we just reinvest it back into the business again, because that's where the money will come back into.
That's wonderful. So I always say, I've been heard to say many times, great businesses make great communities. And here you're an example of giving money back into your community. I heard you do something called Roundup for Ronald McDonald House. Can you explain that?
Yes, we ask our customers, because before we had the little boxes in the front, but now we ask our customers if they don't mind just rounding up a couple of pennies. And since we've done that, we've collected tremendous amount of money for the Ronald House. The Ronald House is a place that it's dear to my heart, as I helped bring a little boy from Argentina into the Ronald House, into New York. So by rounding up, it's the energy and the money that it comes from our consumers, and then we plus it up, because it takes
Wonderful.
millions of dollars to run the Ronald House.
Absolutely. And staying on community for a minute, and I'm sitting in this lovely restaurant. I was saying to you earlier, how modern the McDonald's are. I shared with you I was a Burger King little Whopper girl. Okay, worked there at the age of 16. But I look in and I see how modern the facilities are now. And we're sitting in a large booth. And you explained to me earlier, you have large booths here because this is a very family-oriented McDonald's. You have a lot of families. Share a bit about the community and what McDonald's means to this community, the people who you serve, right in the heart of Jersey City here.
So this particular neighborhood is just unique in a way that it's very family oriented. So they'll come out to eat, and it'll be the abuelita, which is the grandma. They have cousins, and they'll have 5, 6, 7 people, and they'll just come and enjoy a burger together.
Lovely.
So it's very, very family oriented, because Hispanics love eating together, because we're all about food. We're all about eating and family and just enjoying a meal together.
And that's a good example, again, of how you're part of the fabric of this community.
Oh, absolutely. There is nothing. We've had years ago in this particular restaurant, there was a little boy that was dying of had leukemia, and we had a bone marrow drive at a McDonald's, and it was so amazing that even the gangs help us to get the word out. To have a blood drive. So that was really interesting.
Everybody gathered around for a good cause.
Absolutely, absolutely. For a
And then
little boy.
unfortunately, there are some folks who wander in by themselves a little wayward, and you deal with some surprises in that space too, right? Not every customer is good to your people.
Right. That's the piece where there's people that are just ill, they're homeless. They're still people, and they're still God's children, and we still have a responsibility, if not to take them into our homes, but we take them into our hearts temporarily, and we give lots of food away. We sometimes it's a little bit difficult because they're mentally ill, the majority of them, because nobody will want to be in the street in this cold if they're not well. But it is what it is, and we deal with it every day. And I thank my people for being so patient with them. And they're still human beings.
Well, you've trained your people on how to be patient with them, right? You talked about training before.
Yes.
Share a little bit about how do you relate to your workforce about dealing with challenging clients? And your workforce faces this numerous times a day, I bet.
They face it all the time. But the majority of the people that come in are amazing people. But you have just a couple of them, and you don't want one or two to ruin your day. So I always tell them that. Just think of those people that you're not going to take them home to meet your mother. You just think of just take care of them, be respectful, give them what they need at that time, and let them go on their way. And you're not taking them home to me, mama. So, and just treat them with respect as you would want to be treated.
Absolutely.
If they're just the collateral damage of our society, and it's very difficult to just see. It's a calamity.
Absolutely.
Calamity.
Absolutely. So small business owner, I'm sure you have some needs. I'm sure that if you had the opportunity to ask our policymakers or tell our policymakers, if there's one thing you could do for me, I would ask you to do.
Oh my goodness, the list would be like a Santa Claus list. But just give us the freedom and stop regulating on top of regulation and regulation on top of regulation. We always talk about the 1,000 paper cuts. They're tiny, but they impact your business. We work on a small margin. Take all that creativity that they just love to pass regulation and just work with our school system and produce young men and young women to come out of school with a work development program. Just leave us alone. We need regulation because we want to be part of a civilized society.
Absolutely.
But at the same token, we got this. As my children tell me, we got this. And every penny, every dollar that we make, about 49 cents goes back into the local community. So let us thrive. Let us do well, and the communities will do well. When the tide is up, all boats float, and it's much better for everybody.
All right, thank you to Michele Siekerka and Celest Quintana for that Year of the Business Owner segment. We were all loving it, and we'll be back right after these words.
You're first. First to respond. First to put others' lives before your own. And in an emergency, you need a network that puts you first, that connects you to technology and each other, that's built with and for first responders. FirstNet, the only officially authorized wireless network for first responders. Because putting you first is our job.
Welcome back to NJBIA's Mind Your Business. I'm Bob Considine. Well, did you know that New Jersey is home to nearly 20,000 franchise businesses, and just about all of them have their own unique challenges and opportunities? Here to discuss a national campaign that highlights how franchising opens doors for people from all walks of life is Vice President of Government Relations with the International Franchise Association, Jeff Hanscom. Jeff, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us, Bob. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so before we get into franchising and all the perks with that, I did want to ask, International Franchise Association, what is it and what is its mission?
Sure. We are the National Trade Association or International Trade Association that represents the franchise business model. Okay. We count over 1,200 brands as members of the IFA, and those brands represent over 300 different lines of business. Right. So everything from McDonald's and Marriott and Meineke to childcare, home care, right, lawn care. All of those types of brands are all members of the International Franchise Association. Our mission is to protect, enhance, and promote the business model at all levels of government and among our membership and among the general public as well.
Got it. You know, there's big franchises. There's also smaller ones. Like I was reading one that was on your website. It was Nerds to Go, and I was like, wow, I've never heard of that. But you know, it sounds like it's perfect for me. And you're here in New Jersey as what? As part of some kind of mission, Open for Opportunity initiative. What is that?
We are. We're happy to be here in the Garden State as part of our OFO, or Open for Opportunity campaign. We launched the OFO campaign in 2022, so last year. And it's really been our franchising roadshow as a way to get out and ensure that the business model is understood, both by elected officials at the state level, federal level, all the way down to the local level, but also bringing together community leaders, right? Bringing together business groups, chambers of commerce, right, and just making sure that all of those folks are around the table to understand what franchising is, who franchisees are, and also who they aren't. Yeah. Because oftentimes you or I drive down the Jersey Turnpike and you see McDonald's and you see Wendy's and you see a Marriott and you just think big business.
Right, exactly.
You don't think that Kevin Smolar, who owns that McDonald's, is a third generation owner whose grandfather started the business. Right. And we're taking that message out on the road. And ensuring that franchisees have the opportunity to tell that story so that elected officials, whether they're here in Trenton, in DC, or like I said, at the local level, understand that franchisees are independent owner-operators who live in their communities, who sponsor the Little League teams, who give back, and that they are, in fact, local business owners.
Yeah.
And that is often a connection that's missed between big brand name and independent owner operator.
Yeah, very good, very important stuff. Earlier in the show, we had visited a McDonald's in Jersey City. And it was about that exact discussion that people think, oh, you're with McDonald's, you'll be hugely rich. And she's an independent owner operator. And speaking to the community, while we were there taping, there was a poor woman there who was having some kind of addiction issue, and she fed her. I mean, she took her in, she made sure she had warm food, was able to use the bathroom. So that stuff in the community happens all the time.
It does, and we were just talking with a number of hotel franchise business owners,
Right.
and you heard from some of them. They were the first ones a few years ago to open their doors to first responders. The first ones
point.
to open their doors when the hospitals were full and you needed a COVID patient floor.
Yeah.
That's not a decision that's being made at the corporate level. That's a decision that's being made at independent owner operator franchisee level. And now the best, one of the great parts about a franchise is that those independent owner operators here in New Jersey and beyond, they have the support of the corporate entity of the support to get PPE,
Right.
to learn what's working in other places. But at the same time, those independent owner operators, those business owners in the communities were the first ones to, again, open the doors to first responders, bring in COVID patients when they need, pass out PPE, things of that nature, all as a benefit and an extrapolation of the franchise business model.
Yeah, right, so true. And I was even reading on your website, veterans are also a big part of as franchisees. I think I heard you say percentage of veterans in the U.S. is actually smaller than the percentage of veterans who are actually franchisees, correct?
It is. I think
That's amazing.
Yeah, they're about 7% of the U.S. population counts itself as a veteran, but about 14% of franchises across the country are owned by veterans.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's really franchises are systems, right? They're business models. Veterans are that much better positioned to follow a system, right? And that's something that has been ingrained in them over their service. But the veteran community is a huge part of the franchise business model. And we actually have a program called VetFran that's run out of the IFA's foundation, which a number of our brands participate in, and it allows reduces barriers to entry for the veteran community to get into franchising. And we've just seen a huge success rate among that group.
Great. I was going to read some stats I also got from your website. These are amazing to me. A number of franchise locations in New Jersey, just under 20,000, as I mentioned, with nearly 200,000 employees employed by franchises. 2021 franchise revenue for New Jersey in 2021, I should say, $22.9 billion, and also the franchise location growth rate 2.4%, and the revenue growth rate 15.9%. So Jeff, it begs the question for me, is New Jersey, does it have more in terms of, more franchises in terms of density than other states? How are we performing compared to other states?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone across the country, whether it's New Jersey or beyond, obviously everyone we're working on, have we turned the corner? Are we turning the corner still? I think we all agree that there's more work to be done.
Okay.
There are still businesses that need help. Like I said, I go back to the hotels who we were talking with this morning.
Yeah.
I think that the tourism revenue in Jersey was in the mid 40 billion range. It dropped down in COVID to under 30 billion. Now it's back in, I think, the mid 30s. So clearly we're moving in the right direction, but there's still work to be done.
Right.
We're hearing from folks across the board about labor shortages, or making sure how do you get the workers to come back?
Right.
How do we work constructively with the folks in Trenton to enact policies that encourage workers to come back?
Right.
In terms of franchise growth, I think we have seen across the country is that the franchise business model as a whole has been better in a better position to come out of COVID and hit the ground running.
That's interesting.
There were a number. When we were talking about essential and non-essential businesses, obviously a lot of franchisees across the country, whether here in New Jersey or beyond, closed their doors because they had to. Virtually none of them wanted to, but they had to.
Right.
But being a part of a franchise has allowed, I think, our business model, whether you're in the hotel, the restaurant, lawn care, gyms, home care, to come back because we have those systems in place as a part of a franchise, right? That's kind of the foundational element of a franchise is the business plan, the systems, the brand standards that allow a franchise to be a franchise. But by also leveraging that in terms of coming out of COVID has allowed the franchise business model to continue to turn that corner a little more quickly than non-franchise businesses.
I always feel like when we talk about franchises, from when I was younger, it seems like the quality of the stuff that they offer is better. Sometimes you say, oh, it's got to be a mom and pop or I'm not going. But sometimes I feel like I go to maybe a chain restaurant. I'm like, wow, this is really amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there any attention paid to quality over the years?
Certainly. I mean, again, I go back to the brand standards, right? That's what makes a franchise fundamentally, is that so when you or I eat in a McDonald's or a Wendy's, or we stay in a Marriott or a Holiday Inn, that we have a similar experience, whether we're in New Jersey, whether we're in Virginia, or across the board. And again, brand standards are what make a franchise, right? Without that, you or I as a consumer could have a different experience. And if you go all the way back to Ray Kroc, right? Back in the beginning, he developed it, and he had this great idea. But in the very beginning, there were some bumps along the road, right? You had a McDonald's that was selling fried chicken, and you had another McDonald's that may not, maybe they were selling something else. So, but the development and the enforcement and the maintenance of brand standards is what makes a franchise, and what allows you as a consumer, me as a consumer, to have that consistency of experience as you travel from location to location. And in a sense, that is also a little bit of a challenge for us, because that is part of what is a little bit more difficult for folks to overcome and understand that, the burger tastes the same here as it does in California.
Right.
They're two independent owner operators, but it's the adherence to and the enforcement of the brand standards that allow them both to be successful, and then allow you and I as a consumer to enjoy the experience, whether it's a McDonald's in Jersey or a McDonald's in California.
Right, very good. And I was just thinking as you're talking, I shouldn't have read all those great numbers, because now everybody thinks those independent owners, well, again, they're doing so well.
They face the same challenges as all of their non-franchise neighbors, right? And that's also for us is one of the utmost importance to what we do as an association, is that ensuring when folks in Trenton or in Washington, D.C. are looking at policies, that they understand franchise business owners face the same challenges that their non-franchise business neighbors face.
And you would, right before you joined us today, I think I know you spoke with hotels, but also New Jersey lawmakers were there, correct?
They were, yeah.
And how receptive were they to you?
Generally receptive, and I think, again, a lot of what we do as an association is education, right? Is whether we're educating the public, whether we're educating lawmakers, but because oftentimes, and I've been with the association for, the better part of a decade at this point, and candidly, when I first got here, I thought every McDonald's was just a McDonald's, or every Marriott was just a Marriott. And there are plenty of folks who think that too. And again, that goes back to somewhat of the business model, somewhat of a victim of our own success. But they are generally receptive when we are able to put a local independent face on the fast signs, on the McDonald's, on the Marriott. It becomes a much different story, and I think it allows them from a legislative perspective to understand that no, we're not making legislation that impacts big international corporation. We're making legislation that impacts local independent business owner in my district, employing constituents in my hometown.
Got it. Last minute, Jeff. Last question, actually. World Cup 2026 coming here, and I know tomorrow's a big day. We're going to talk. You're going to talk to some legislators about that. What do franchises need? How strong do they need to be to support a World Cup here in New Jersey?
Yeah, infrastructure, right? That's what we need. That's what New Jersey needs. We need hotel rooms. We need heads and beds, and we need places to put people, right? Yeah. We need to be able to get people from point A to point B, and then back to point A again in a seamless experience, right? Yeah. And I think a lot of what we talked about this morning with the legislators is just how do we bring everybody together, right? How do we ensure that we've got the hotel beds needed when you bring however many thousands of people are going to be coming to the World Cup games? Right. How do you ensure that we have the trains that run on time and consistently to get them from MetLife Stadium to their hotel and back again? Right. How do we all work together to ensure that New Jersey is open for business and remains open for business? And also starting the conversation now. It's 2023. 2026 seems like a long way away. Yeah. It'll be here before we know it, right? And how do we ensure that not only are we starting the conversation now, but we're starting to put things into action now? Because these developments take time, right? There is opportunity to develop new hotels. There's opportunity to develop new infrastructure to make sure that the experience is as seamless as possible. But the discussions and the planning and the action need to start now, so that when we get to 2026, we're prepared.
Good, very good. Jeff Hanscom, International Franchise Association, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Next up on Minding Your Business, NJBIA's Kate Conroy and Vinny Civitillo join us to talk about the latest with NJBIA events and networking opportunities. Take it away, Catherine and Vincent.
Hey, it's great to have you back on the show. We've got a brand new year, which means brand new networking opportunities from NJBIA. I'd love it if you could tell us about some of them.
Absolutely. And just first of all, thanks for having me. It is always a treat to hang out with you guys at Minding Your Business.
Always a pleasure.
So actually, we have more than just networking events coming up. The calendar is chock full, starting really quickly. So on March 10th, we have a brand new event called Insights and Outlooks, Forecasting the Future During Times of Great Change. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Vin, but there was like a pandemic, like a global pandemic.
I'm vaguely familiar. I mean,
the world turned upside down, not to borrow anything from Lin-Manuel Miranda, not to plagiarize that man's good work, but things are still changing. The world is still kind of settling. The sands under our feet are still shifting. And so this event is for decision makers, not just business owners, but anybody who is in charge of making decisions at a business. It's supposed to help them figure out how to make the best decisions as things continue to change. And so what it's going to be is a series of TED-style talks ranging from how to manage remote employees, cannabis, the changing face of real estate in New Jersey, the economy. Are we going to have a recession? I don't know. It'll be interesting to find out. So yeah, this event is happening March 10th at 8:30 in the morning. It's going to go until 1 p.m. It's going to be at Pines Manor. There is going to be a hybrid option though. So if you want to attend this event, but you can't schlep all the way to Edison, New Jersey, beautiful downtown Edison, New Jersey, by the way, definitely check out the hybrid option. Insights and Outlooks. It's a brand new event and I'm really excited about it. I actually can't wait to hear the speakers because I'm a little nerdy that way.
Hey, I'll never complain about options in terms of hybrid and not. I hear the Not-for-Profit Council is holding an event. Can you tell us a little about that?
Absolutely. That's actually the next event I was going to talk about on March 21st, just a couple weeks. Yeah, just a couple weeks after Insights and Outlooks, the Not-for-Profit Council is producing their second or third annual now Not-for-Profit Summit. And that is going to be all about how for-profit and not-for-profit companies can work together. And so that's actually going to be a combination of TED-style talks, keynotes, and a panel discussion on everything from, oh my gosh, how to rev up your revenue stream, how to do strategic planning, especially if you're not somebody in the organization who's supposed to be doing strategic planning. How do you get your team to think strategically about the future of the organization? So that's going to be an excellent event. That's also at the Pines Manor. They're our go-to place this spring, apparently. March 21st. 8:30 until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, also at Pines Manor, with the option of doing hybrid again.
Okay. Anything else coming up before the mid-year that you want to talk about?
100%. Oh my gosh, there's always something, right? So
Always.
We have a really active Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, and they're also producing a summit. It's the DE&I Summit. Is happening April 18th. This one is going to be at the Holiday Inn in Clark from 8:30 in the morning until 1 p.m. There will also be a hybrid component. But check out the title of this event. It is so cool. Elephants in Shifting Sands, the changing reality of DE&I. And this, I know, I do too. This is going to be interesting because the topics are really provocative, I would say. One of the keynotes is already titled How to Have, oh gosh, it's about difficult conversations. Oh, how to talk about the elephant in the room without burning down the room. Hence the elephant. Elephants in Shifting Sands.
Sure.
So yeah, the changing reality of DE&I is changing. There are shifting sands under our feet and there are a lot of elephants in the room. And so this is going to be a really good event, I think. Again, 8:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock in the afternoon on April 18th at the Holiday Inn in Clark.
Very cool. Kate, if somebody wants to attend one of these events or just learn more, how can they find out about them?
Well, they could just visit njbia.org/events, or you can always call us or email us. If you send an email to events@njbia.org, that will go to the entire events team, and we'll be sure to get back in touch with you as soon as possible.
All right, thank you to Kate Conroy and Vinny Civitillo and all of our guests today. And we thank you for joining us on NJBIA's Minding Your Business. We'll see you next time.